This is Out of the Box with your host, Jonathan Clark. Out of the Box, Sunday nights at 9 on Q1043.
Bush's latest album is The Art of Survival. They are on tour now. All the info, bushofficial.com. Gavin Rossdale joins us in the studio now. And Gavin, when I first started in radio, it was the 90s. It wasn't this station. It was a station in further upstate in New York. And since then, I have worked at 4 radio stations, including this one. The reason I'm telling you this is because on all 4 of those stations, I played Bush music, which I think is an achievement in itself.
Thank you.
No problem. But that's kind of what you want. You want your old music and your new music to last and be relevant. And when you first came out, I guess it was 94 where the first album came out, there were a lot of bands at that time, as we all know. And a lot of those bands, unfortunately, for whatever reasons, are not getting played on the radio now, but Bush still is. And I think that's what you want, right? I mean,
as a songwriter, yeah, that's amazing. I mean,
yeah,
it's the most highest kind of, whatever. It just means that you're writing songs that people connect to, I guess.
Yeah, big time. I mean, and they still are. And now being out on tour and seeing, you just showed me some photos from the show last night. So many of your fans at the shows that are so pumped that Bush is back. You've been back for a while, but, with this great new album. And
it's
that's
been good, I think, not to interrupt you, sorry, but it's like I think about this a lot. We that pandemic just wiped everyone out.
Yeah.
And really sort of like, unless you're, mega Foo Fighter level, it's like everyone else was just sort of left to just thrown into the UFC octagon of life and of bands and of just what do you got, how good are you, how strong are you? I feel like sort of gladiators, wolves. And, I did a record just before the pandemic. We did one after. I did the Black and White Rainbows, which was kind of a bruised kind of record, this and that. And then when I picked myself up after that of getting divorced and all that horribleness, I thought, you know what? I just want to go heavy. I'm just annoyed and mad. And I was sick of being vulnerable and just came out with and so since then the Kingdom just done 2 really kind of ripping records. And
yes.
I think that people have really connected to that. There was the first ripping record during the Kingdom during the pandemic, and people kind of really responded to Flowers on a Grave.
Yes.
And people, the isolation thing.
Yeah.
And, some people thought maybe that was a bit of a crazy decision to bring out a record and not be able to tour it.
Right.
But it just felt like perfect to be anti-commercial, perfect to not make corporate decisions, perfect to just follow our instincts and provide our people that love the band with something to listen to that they hadn't heard. And then since then, we've just been on this momentum thing and toured with some great bands, from whoever bands we toured with a lot of.
Alice in Chains, I think, last year, right?
And just been building it back up really and just gaining this momentum. And it's wild because, like you say, it's not like we ever stopped, but it's like the momentum is extraordinary now,
Well, and, the songwriting is there and, the prolificness of it, with these 2 albums back to back. And you were speaking of the Kingdom before, and you were speaking of the Foo Fighters before that. I interviewed Dave during the pandemic. And to your point, he was like, we've got all these songs. We can't tour. Should we wait on it or should we put it out? Well, let's put it out. Right. And give our fans something to listen to.
Right.
This, the new album, Art of Survival, is so good. I have to say, More Than Machines. When I first heard that, you were speaking of the heaviness before. I could not stop playing that song. I sent it to everybody. I'm like, listen to this. This is Bush. It's so good.
That's awesome.
Maybe it's just my taste. I sent the song to everyone, but those riffs are so infectious. They're addictive. Did you feel that when you were writing this album, maybe even the last one?
Yeah, well, you just go forward. As a songwriter, I just wait for inspiration. It starts with the drums, and then I probably go to guitar and just try and find riffs and stuff. And so every stage, it only progresses to the next stage if something is like bites and something is interesting and intriguing, and I want to sing on it, And so it's just a case of me just sat there, just kind of going round and round. When I have the riff, I record it real nice, and then I might play it for an hour straight and just walk around the room and look around the window and look at art books and think about the world. And whatever. But just wait for inspiration to strike. So that's how it works. That excitement that you feel is the same excitement that I feel that propels me to put something on top of it.
Well, plus it's been, almost 30 years, which I want to get to. But in 30 years, your ear and your taste has matured and developed too. So something that may have struck you before may not strike you now, and vice versa. There's definitely a message in the lyrics about women's rights and AI and the destruction of the planet in More Than Machines. Tell us about that.
Well, it was one of the last songs we wrote for the record, and weirdly, before that song was done, the whole, Roe versus Wade issue had arisen, and I was just in shock. I really felt it, and I just felt the invasion, and I felt protective of the women who've now been told, dictated to about their body. I couldn't connect to it. Maybe I'm English, maybe I'm too libertarian.
No, you're just a human being, I think.
just was like, what is that? It's just so, and it was like a thorn in my shoe. And when I got the opportunity to, you hand the record in, and they always say, give us a couple more songs. It's just this dance, label dance. And it's a smart dance, but it's hard for the songwriter, because you're basically saying to them, that was great, thank you so much for this little 8 months of work. Could you work a little harder, a little longer, and do something else? Could you do something better? But it gave me the opportunity to put that in there, and when that line came to me, "Girls are in control, not the government," I was so happy, because it gave meaning and value to being in a band and having. I'm not a soapbox person. I'm not a political person overly like that. I'm very personally human driven, so it just was like to be able to suggest that and talk about that. It just felt like why isn't everyone else talking about this? What I mean? So that was a beautiful thing to be able to connect into the music.
Gavin Rossdale from Bush is with us. The new album is The Art of Survival. The album title, you have said that, all of us in life, you kind of referenced it before, have lots of things going on all the time, struggles we all go through. And in fact, if you think about it, you are a survivor too. You have been through quite a lot in your life. Mm-hmm. Does that resonate with you as far as the album title as well? I mean, did that sort of 100%. Come into play? Yeah.
1,000%, I mean, that's always the most, as a songwriter, it's a really weird journey, because the further you turn away from other people and turn into yourself, the more chance there is that you strike the gold that connects you and that idea to someone else going through something similar. But you have to be, you have to find that personal space and turn away, and then it's when you get most vulnerable and most open that you understand. I understand that actually when you achieve that, you trigger people who listen to your music, and they come and they tell you their journey and how it works for them and what it did for them, and that's when it really again becomes the most meaningful, because we can't take ourselves too seriously. We just try to make good tunes and good music, and we play shows and give everything we got, but we can't take ourselves too seriously. But the music in of itself, that sort of the alchemy of what we've created and exists in this space for people to listen to, that is serious. That's serious as hell.
You start off More Than Machines, I think you are inhaling, something like that. And then there's also a part in the song where you go, breathe. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that.
It's essential.
yeah, totally. Well, you can tell the whole world to
but
breathe.
It's funny, breathing and breath work and holding your breath and having your breath taken away, and just breathing is such a, for those of us who have PTSD and chronic anxiety, breathing is an incredible form of changing your whole mindset. So, I mean, we all know that feeling when things hit the fan and that sharp intake of breath, and you really do have to breathe your way through it, because panic can cause you to stop breathing, which is, again, not good, inadvisable.
I could reference breathe in, breathe out if I want to as well, but I won't.
You just did. Well, yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, basically, same idea 30 years apart.
More Than Machines is a song. It's from Bush's latest album, The Art of Survival, here on Q104.3's Out of the Box. Congratulations, Gavin Rossdale. That is a #1 song. How does that feel?
That feels great. Thank you so much. You can say it again if you like.
That is a #1 song on the rock charts in the United States of America.
I couldn't hear you for a minute, but I appreciate that. Thank you. Clarification is king.
Did all the songs come easy for this new album? Because if you listen to and look at the sequencing of the tracks on the album, I'll go through a few of them here. Heavy as the Ocean, More Than Machines, Human Sand, Gunfight, all the others. It seems very cohesive. Maybe that songs did come easy, or maybe they didn't. But tell me how it was.
What's weird is that now I sit here and I think, what we get there. There's certain days and hours where you're not as productive as others. But I just think that for me, having done it for so long, all I know to do is just stay in the room.
Right? Yeah.
Do not leave the room. Don't judge what you first do. It's often a stepping stone. Often a stepping stone. I may do a whole kind of top line to a song, and come in the next day and be like, "That's not right."
Right.
And and kind of consider it. So, I think the most important thing about it, or the reason why it's cohesive, is because the intention and the aesthetic. The Heavy as the Ocean was the first song that kind of solidified itself and became clear it was going to be on the record. And I was like, man, this should be the opening of the record, because if I keep this aesthetic, I'm not changing. That is the thing. And you have that, then you have May Your Love Be Pure, which is a sort of a kindred, like a cousin of May Your Love Be of Heavy as the Ocean. And you just, I mean, everything's difficult and everything's easy. It's like I always tell my kids, like, everything's easy when you can do it, or everything's easy when you've got the record that's finished. But there were definitely sort of days where I wasn't necessarily as good as other days, of course.
An extended labor of love, perhaps?
Yeah, well, I'm quite disciplined about it. I think that I love this life and I know what it takes. And sometimes you just got to sit there and do what you got to do. You understand.
That's what you do. That's your job. Yeah. Let's talk side hustles, a subject that no matter what kind of diet you have or food you like, tell me this is true, that you do have a cooking show, and what is the name of it?
Yes, it's called Eat with Gavin Rossdale, and we're in the final stages, apparently, allegedly, of financing. It's been quite a labor of love and a side project for a number of years, and it's gone through different kind of showrunners and producers and people that said they could help and they couldn't help, and then me being away and not really driving it. So I shot these sizzle reels, shot some pilots a few years ago, 4 years ago, and it's just a different hustle.
Yeah.
And it's like, no joke, not that easy, and I think we're closer than we've ever been, and it's just going to be a lot easier once I do the first season. It's the first season that's really tricky.
Well, did that pilot include Tom Jones, or was that after?
I shot a day with basically what it's really simple. I just cook for people, celebrities or people that we would know would come over, and I cook dinner, and then we just talk and chew the fat and break bread, drink some wine, whatever they want. I don't care if it's green tea or if it's a beautiful, a dry white wine. It's whatever they want. And then you sit there, and I did Tom Jones and Jack McBrayer, two different kind of guys, two good friends of mine, and just sat down on a dinner with them and shot it.
Wow.
That's it.
Tom Jones, I mean, needless to say, the man must have insane stories.
Yeah, he's the most beautiful, incredible man, and I love him deeply, and I have 6 hours, 6 cameras of him talking about his life.
Wow.
You know, so I got gold on Tom. That's when he was king of the Bollingers just then. He doesn't drink anymore. So
okay,
but that was when he was still drinking, and he's just a lot of fun. He's beautiful, you know, great man. Did
Anthony Bourdain have the best job in the world besides yours?
I think he had a really, 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 really hard job. So much travel and so much time away. And I know for a fact that it distorts you. Travel, time zones, distance from family, friends, lovers is distorting. So I would imagine that ultimately it was too difficult a life for him, you know?
Yeah.
You know, what a wonderful man. God, what a beloved man. I once met him, you know. I went to the farmer's market in Hollywood in LA one Sunday, and there's no one there. It's like 10 in the morning, and he was signing Kitchen Confidential.
Oh,
before
right.
CNN,
a while ago, yeah.
Before the shows, everything. He was just at the farmer's market, and I've never lined up to anyone and could get a signature for a book. And he was there, and I was like, "Oh my God!" Because I had read it already. I'm already, you know, always been a bit of a food idiot, maniac. So,
did you ever work in a restaurant back in the day?
No. Well, yes, I worked at a cafe.
Okay.
I worked at a cafe, so it wasn't quite a restaurant. But so no, I I've gave my life to music, but I've always thought that it's an incredible life, and it's quite similar to musicians. The consistency of every night of being on the line and cooking, and the consistency to make every dish the same goes out, and that's what people can come back for. And in a way, I think that's similar with music. You know, we can't screw up. You know, we play. We're as good as our last show. We're as good as the social media talks about how we played and all that sort of stuff. I mean, actually, we're not. But you know what I'm saying? You're as good as your last show, and in a restaurant, you're as good as the last service you served. And so. I've always found that I have a few friends of mine, great friends of mine, who are chefs, and I just relate to them so much. And the conversations with chefs, I adore chefs, you know.
Gavin Rossdale is with us. The latest album from Bush is The Art of Survival. I want to ask you the top 2 or 3 things that come to mind immediately when I ask you, what are the coolest things that happened to you since you've been in Bush? Give me 1 or 2. Top of mind.
Meeting people that I mean, oh my gosh, the best. Having children. That was my son. That's Kingston.
Oh, fantastic.
So having kids was the incredible thing. You weren't expecting that answer, but that was an incredible thing. I just think that being given the gift of being able to do what you truly love and have it sustain you and have a path in life with it, that's the greatest gift it's given me. It's his ability to continue to make music and be heard.
Do you remember the first time you played a concert where the audience sang your lyrics back to you?
Yeah, CBGB's here in New York.
Really?
In '95, when we did our first tour, we played at CBGB's, and I'd never played to an audience that knew our music. I'd, played in pubs and clubs in London, and people kind of liked the sound, whatever, they didn't know the songs, and we were unsigned. And going to that, I remember leaving there, and it was empty, obviously, and then going to get something to eat, and then coming back, and it not being able to get in because it's so packed, and all these cool dudes and super hot
East
biker
Village
girls with tattoos and flowing hair, and just I was like, oh my God. And that's when it really felt like a seismic shift between what we'd known and what was to come. And so that was a deep, incredible moment.
And at a special place, obviously, with so
Beautiful
much
place,
history.
Yeah. And now, of course, you can go and get a really nice jacket from John Vavatos.
For like $1,000, but yeah.
Nothing against John, we love John, but
totally.
It's a great. That was, you know what I mean. And on that, though, I toured like 2 or 3 years, all those clubs, and wherever we went, we would be in. you know, everyone had been through that. Everyone that we loved, everyone that I couldn't, everyone whose records I had, you know, I was like, oh my God, the Pixies played here last week. Oh my God. You know, like, just sort of blow your mind.
I mean, yeah.
Well, I was television.
Yeah.
Of course.
Blondie, Talking Heads.
Iggy.
Absolutely. Gavin Rossdale, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Jonathan.
This is Out of the Box with your host, Jonathan Clark. Out of the Box, Sunday nights at 9 on Q1043.